now. So good afternoon. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to this Pipeline Industries Guild webinar, where we're going to have some reflections on 2020, and we're looking forward to what we're going to be doing in 2021. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Norman Howell, and I'm the CEO of the Guild. And I'm joined today by the Guild Chair, Jason Wilson. He's the chap in the Newcastle top. And then I'm also joined by our Deputy Chair, Daniel Jefferson. And we've got Nick Anderson, who's the Guild's Financial Director. If you've got any financial questions, Nick will be happy to field those. We did advertise that Kate Lazenby, our Deputy Chair 2, is going to be on the call, but unfortunately she's been unable to participate today.
Oh, muted yourself, Norman.
You're muted, Norman. You're double muted.
That's it, you're back.
Right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Kate can't join us today, so she's got a business commitment. So we've had a few questions from members, and she's prepared some written answers. So I'll read those out as we go through the event. As I said earlier, it is our intention to sort of review the activities that have taken place this year, and then how we've really address the challenges of the pandemic, and then what we're planning for next year. As you can see, we've structured this event differently to our normal webinars, so we're having a sort of informal panel style question and answer session. As I said at the beginning, we are happy to take questions, but just to keep order, can we can you raise your hand using the hand raise function? Catherine's going to help me with that. So once you've done that, I'll come to you and ask you about and then pose your question. You could also, if you prefer, use the chat function, and we'll be monitoring that during the event. You've got all your mics off, so that's great. And if you can sort of, once you've done your question, if you can mute your mic again, and that just cuts out any sort of background noise. So as I mentioned earlier, we have had some questions from members in advance, and I think it's as well that we start with those, and then we'll just see how we progress from there. So I'd like to address.
Just before we go into the first question, can I just take the opportunity to make an excuse for this very flattering outfit that I'm wearing? So I just wanted to say that whilst we're reflecting on the year, that I couldn't really let the conversations go by without making a reference to Dave Watson. So Dave Watson sadly passed away earlier on this year, and he was a very well-respected member of the industry, and he was a proactive member and supporter of the Guild. And his valuable contributions will be missed by the industry, obviously missed by his family, and missed by the Guild members as well. But the reason for this is Dave was also a very proud supporter of Newcastle United. And I can fondly remember a number of Guild functions where he and I had both cried into our beer on a number of occasions about, we complained bitterly how the planets had aligned for Leicester City and they'd won the title, when technically that should have been Newcastle's year. So just wanted to make some reference to that. So this is an official Newcastle United Christmas jumper. So Dave, if you can hear me, matey, I'm wearing this unflattering, completely abomination of fashion just for you, buddy.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Jason. That's a really good tribute to Dave. So if we now sort of kick off with the first question, and I'll I'll address this initially to Jason, and the question is that what has it been like being the chair of the guild during the COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, it's been really great, but it has been a bit weird. The lead into it was really good because we had a fantastic national dinner, and then we pretty much went into lockdown. Was it the week after? It was pretty close after the national dinner. I think the big thing for me is that, like everyone else, missing out on the personal interactions that we would normally get. But the upside of that has been that I probably got to more technical events by webinar that I would have normally managed to in a usual year. And it's really sad that the national dinner has been postponed, but we set a date for the following year, so that's being planned in, and that one's going to be extra fab. And my challenge is to eat and drink enough for 2 dinners at that one, to make up for the fact that we've lost this year's. And COVID-19 sort of presented us with a bit of an opportunity to realign the guild year. So that meant that I get the opportunity to be national chair for a little bit longer by way of the transition. So I'm hoping that I might get a bit of time outside of COVID-19 and get out and about and get to see people in person instead of by webinar.
Thanks, Jason. Have you anything to add to that, Dan?
Yeah, so probably just to add to that, Jason, it has been a bit of an unusual year. It has been a little bit challenging, but I guess from my perspective, I've been quite amazed as to how quickly the guild's changed its tact, changed its approach, and tried to maintain value for the membership, bring technical minds together, offer social events. And from a personal point of view, and I will keep going on about it, is the broadness of the engagement that we've managed to achieve over this period. My little girl knows now what I do, and also knows the Severn Trent Water 3-piece song really well. So every time we're going on a dog walk, I get a new rendition of the 3-piece. And if you weren't on the call, that's pee, poo, and paper. As allowable flushable items. So yeah, no, it's been really fascinating year from that point of view, to see the guild evolve and move forward into a different guise, I guess, really, and really accommodate the COVID-19 restrictions really quite well.
So Kate has sort of come has provided an answer in saying that it was a bit surreal, to be honest. The whirlwind that has been 2020 has seen us all face many challenges personally and professionally. The great bit about being in this role, which is a DC2 role, is the support that we've been able to give each other and all muck in, and that approach really has got us motivated. And going on from that, I'd like to say that, you know, from my point of view, of course, I equally have had a challenging time. We started the year, we had a program of events. The staff have really worked hard to develop those events, and then we reached a point of uncertainty when we didn't know whether those events were going to take place. And then also we were having to, let's say, work on our feet, trying to develop another program events on virtual platforms. And so for me, I think, you know, the critical item has been that we've managed to maintain the member benefits and services. And on a really positive note, I'm particularly proud of how our staff have embraced working from home and working on the virtual platforms to provide what I believe has been a first-class service to our members. So, you know, I'd like to thank the staff for that. Have you anything to add, Nick? Or?
You're on mute, Nick.
You're on mute.
There we go. Hello, everyone. So I think it's been a challenging year, but it's been a really good experience to learn how senior leaders like Norman handle pressure and adapt to challenges. So it's been a year where I've been able to learn a lot. And I joined the finance committee 3 years ago. And now chairing it, we've done a lot and achieved a lot. So it's been good.
Thanks, Nick. So we'll move on now to the next question we received, which was again related to the pandemic. I suppose that's been in the focus of our minds all year, just about. And the question is, what has impressed you the most about the Guild's reaction to the COVID-19 situation? And perhaps you'd like to start on that one, Dan.
Yeah, sure. So I think the most impressive thing for me has been the membership, the engagement of the membership to present, to get involved, to come up with ideas of creating social and technical webinars. You know, at the start of the year, we hadn't envisaged switching to a webinar program so quickly. It was on the horizon. We probably had several booked in, but to then get one or two a week every week through to August is quite phenomenal. We were, I would suggest, from an organisation such as ourselves, we were probably leading the way to maintain the staff on full employment during the COVID period, although working remotely. It's just been a whole. It really has impressed me as to, from a volunteering organisation with a very small HQ team, to deliver what we've delivered. It's just been phenomenal.
Thanks, Dan. Do you want to add something to that, Jason?
Yeah, so I mean, just following on from what Dan was saying, I mean, I've been pleased to see that the Guild's got a really great team of people steering it through the tough times. And I really loved how we've remained calm and thought carefully about how we would adjust our plans. And we made some prompt and informed decisions to make sure that the members still receive the best possible service. And the decision not to furlough the staff was very much the right one. And the agility that we displayed in preparing such an intense program of webinars, as Dan's referred to, just shows how adaptive to change the Guild can be.
Yeah. Thanks, Jason. And just to give you Kate's answer, she says the agility to move from face-to-face technical events to a webinar program events to suit everybody, from technical aspects, soft skills, children's series, and let's not forget the quizzes. All this has been a steep learning curve for all of us, but everyone has sort of pulled together to ensure our members continue to get value from their membership. And the social media stats have risen month on month, so we must be doing something right. And I'd like to sort of echo that, in that, the staff really nearly began from nearly a standing start, in that we had started to embrace the virtual world, and we'd had a few webinars, but in March we had to sort of really step up and look at delivering this a program of events, and also to look at how we could use LinkedIn and Twitter and YouTube. And I think they've done phenomenally well in sorting that program out. Jason's mentioned that we decided not to use the furlough scheme. That, to my mind, was absolutely correct. The board and the exec got that just right, in that we actually need our staff to deliver services to what is in principle a subscription organisation. And Kate said in her piece there that the proof of the success of this is in the viewing statistics, and we've also, during that time, managed to welcome, I think it's over 30 new members to the Guild. So I believe that we have reacted well to the challenge. Have you anything to add, Nick, or are you?
No, I thought the Guild's response was brilliant. headquarters team were like the devil to switch in March. People were, it was really uncertain times. People were stockpiling toilet paper like it was gold. And meanwhile, the guild was sort of out there providing content at a fairly regular rate, providing some sort of consistency in a really uncertain times. So I thought it was a brilliant sort of adaptation.
Okay, thanks. So I'd now like to move on to the next question, and it's quite a simple one. This, Jason, what was your favourite event of the year?
Tough one to answer. I've only got one child, so it's easy to choose my favourite child, but there were loads and loads of good events throughout the year so far. But I think I get to go first, so I'll call out a few of them. So I really liked the Guild Goes Green sessions that we had. So there was, for those of you who weren't aware, but we did 3 sessions throughout August, I think they were. So we had Caden, Tata Steel and Water UK all did a separate presentation each. And then we had the Guild Conference week or 2 back, which was fantastic. And we had representation there from Sophie Tucker from UU. We had Kevin Randall from National Grid, our own Barry Hayward from Wessex Water, and Chris Clark from Wales and West Utilities. And that was a really insightful and interesting debate. And some really interesting stuff came out of that. But a bit like Dan mentioned before, I really like the kids' webinars as well. And my lad tried to pretend he was too cool to enjoy it, but he did really enjoy them.
Right,
thanks, Jason. Do you
probably echo that, Jason. I think one of the big things for me, the national dinner that we did hold just before the lockdown, it's a really important aspect of what the Guild's events are about, bringing people together, face-to-face communication. We were very, very fortunate it occurred just before, and I think, touch wood, there was no knock-on effects from the event being held with regards to anybody's health, which was absolutely excellent. But I think from a personal point of view, and touched on it already earlier, but the kids webinars and bringing that next sort of generation of people into the industry and seeing what's occurring, what's happening was just excellent. From humble beginnings with regards to it, we started off, I think we had 2 children on the first kids webinar, which was my two kids. So I think there was 30, 35 towards the final ones, which was absolutely excellent.
Okay, I'll just read Kate's answer to that question, and it echoes basically what Jason and Dan have said. She said there's quite a few, but the Guild Goes Green conference the other week was excellent, thought-provoking and engaging. And that, from my perspective, I also really enjoyed the fact that we'd embraced that the Guild Goes Green and look to the future of our industry and how we can improve our environment. I just thought they were great. The other thing that, the other initiative that we've been running through the years been the Guild 2025, and again, the engagement from the members has been really good in that, and you'll see in the next week that we'll be sending out the strategy roadmap to the membership for comment, and it's quite a big tome, and there's a lot to deliver, but I believe that with the membership that we have, that we will get there and develop the Guild into a sustainable organisation for the future. I too was, something I'd like to mention is that it's not just the Guild dinner that we had, but we had a really buoyant dinner in Ireland, as you might expect, and I had the great honour of presenting 2 of their stalwarts, Michael Sheedy and John Murphy, with honorary life membership of the Guild for their outstanding service. And also then at the national dinner, I want to mention everybody who's involved, but Phil Clisham, what a job he does for the Guild, and I was really pleased to see that he'd been recognised with a lifetime membership of the Guild. It was really well deserved, and so I really enjoyed those events in particular. And I also went on the STEM presentations. You're never too old to learn, are you? and keeps telling me about my Victorian roots, but I don't think I'd quite go back that far. So, Nick, would you like to finish this question?
I've really enjoyed the quizzes which have occurred over the last few months. I haven't won one yet, but maybe next year, give it another go.
That's great. I can hold my hand up. I did win one quiz, but I can't remember which one it was. Perhaps I shouldn't be participating. I don't know.
Just in the chat there, Norman, I see Tony's raised a question. Although I don't know if you want to unmute.
So
mute Tony and ask the question.
Tony's asked, does the Guild plan to continue the great series of webinar events in 2021, even if the current restrictions are eased?
Yes, it does.
On Jason.
Yeah, it does. We've recognised the value of it, and we want to get to a point where we've got a balance of face-to-face sessions, but also backed up with webinars to support.
I think it's, we've gone through that change period now, and we do want to move it into the business as usual, Tony. I think it's an important aspect of what the Guild's about.
Yep.
And would be, all ears, Tony, as and when you wish to do a presentation.
Indeed. And if there's that you've seen, Tony, that you've missed out on, they're available on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's over 50 presentations on YouTube. So they range from technical to soft skills to health and safety. So all of those things are there, and we've got things like mental awareness and the like on there. So it's quite a library now. I will talk at the end of this, and I think I'll leave it to the end about looking forward. But for me and the Guild staff, we're really buoyed up to continue the series of presentations that we've that we've been doing, and also even when we do get to some form of normality, I think it will continue, because it's really important that we have that, we give the members the opportunity to interact, and by using these platforms we can actually get more content from the Guild than they would do just going to a local branch or panel meeting.
I think the irony is, Norman, I think I've probably been more connected to the Guild this year because of COVID and because of the webinars. Yeah. Even in 2021, if things ease a little, it would be a shame to relax that, because I think it's helped loads of people stay close to the Guild.
Yeah. As I say, we have got a couple of quite key events coming up. I'll save them till the end, but yeah, the intentions to continue to continue what we're doing, and I think it becomes a really important member benefit then.
Yep.
So now just on to the next question, and this is about next year really, and what are the biggest challenges that the Guild faces next year? And I don't know if do you want to start on that one, Jason?
Yeah. So my view is that the Guild's in a strong position anyway. We've got lots of support from our existing members, and we continue to gain new members throughout the pandemic anyway. It is going to be a tough year without the national dinner, but we're already working on things to help fill some of those shortfalls. And I think that some of the things we're implementing now won't only just help now, but also help with the future as well. We've got plenty of things to go at in the Guild 2025 initiative that you talked about, so that's going to make for exciting times looking forward.
Yeah. Thanks.
So probably add to that, Jason, with regards to the 2025. So although it could be seen as quite a mountain to climb or challenge to overcome, you know, there's a whole host, an array of different feeder projects to deliver the overall 2025 strategy. But you know, I think that the biggest bit is to get the wheel rolling with regards to it. We've got some early engagement from some of the branches and panels, which has been superb. But you know, as Norman said, once we launch the strategy paper and look to engage again back out with the wider membership, you know, it'd be really encouraging to sort of see some of that support and drive to deliver a few of those low-lying fruits early and build some momentum to maintain the relevance of the guild going forward and ensure that the membership are getting the best value out of what we're all providing. You know, whether it's the staff at HQ or whether it's the volunteers that are supporting the guild remotely through branches and panels.
Thanks, Dan. And Kate's sort of written answer is with the disappointing but clearly necessary decision not to go ahead with the national dinner next year. And I don't know whether an announcement has been made about that just yet on email, but I'll
Breaking
now have
news.
to cover it because Kate's mentioned it. We've been in close discussions with the Grosvenor House Hotel about the dinner next year, and obviously, you know, the continued let's say pandemic issues really have driven us to the decision that it wouldn't be really possible to hold a dinner of such a scale as we normally do in March next year. So we've decided to postpone the event, and we will be looking at maybe doing something, let's say towards the summer or late summer, as a smaller sort of social event. But we're hedging our bets yet, so I don't want to say too much about that. But the intention is that the National Dinner 2022 will be back, and we hope it will be bigger and better than it normally is. So that part of it. Now, just following on from what Kate was saying, of course, not holding the dinner does challenge us financially in terms of our revenue. But Jason mentioned it, we are in a strong position. So, but we do need to ensure that we have other means of funding trickling in. And again, she says, luckily we've got Nick on the case. We've formed a commercial group which Nick is leading, and this is really a time for that group to start thinking outside the box about income streams and seeing how particularly we can use our virtual platforms to continue both to, let's say, gain some revenue, but also deliver value for money. And she finishes by saying the Guild's 2025 strategy piece is an exciting initiative, and we're looking forward to getting really stuck in on that. So perhaps I'll just expand a little bit on the financial side. As we've said, the Guild dinner does provide quite a substantial part of our income. I think I said earlier, if any of you saw my vodcast a couple of weeks ago, that, you know, 2/3 of our income comes from subscriptions, and then we need to gain another 1/3 of our income from our events, and that dinner contributes probably another 2/3 of the third that we need. So we are in a strong position. We have healthy reserves, and so we can manage through this difficult sort of period. But it is going to require us to bolster our operating costs with some of our reserves, and we've also got to remember that these continued restrictions are challenging our business model, and we also need to understand that the reserves are not inexhaustible. So for me, what I want to say to you, our members, is that we need your continued support to help us to continue to maintain and build a sustainable future for our guild.
Yeah, we do.
I don't know if you've anything to add to that, Nick. I'm sorry, I feel like I broke the record sometimes talking about finance.
So the original question was, what's the biggest challenge for the guild coming out of COVID disruption? And I think the guild has short-term challenges and it has a long-term challenge. In the short term, we're going to be short of cash, like Norman's discussed. Our costs are relatively fixed. You know, we run an efficient organisation already, and we want to maintain providing a service, so our costs are fixed. But our income is going to decrease over the next year because we won't be able to hold the dinner. So it's going to be a tight year, but we're using the commercial working group to look at how we're using our webinar series to the best effect, so we can provide value to the guild and provide value to the membership. So in the short term, we have that sort of cash flow problem. Luckily, we have reserves and we'll be fine for the next year. In the longer term, I think COVID's posed as a slightly bigger question. And it kind of touched on Tony's question, which is, well, people's expectations have changed now. I think it's less likely that people are willing to, or people want to work more from home, I would suggest, over the next few years. I don't think they'd be so happy to drive a long distance at the end of the working day to go to a technical talk. So what we've had to do in the meantime is produce a webinar series. And I think the challenge that COVID will face us over the next few years is keeping those digital services alive, respecting people's want to balance their work-life balance a bit more carefully. So, you know, there's short and long-term challenges.
Thanks, Nick. That's really helpful. So, since we're dressed for it, Jason, the next question is, what's on your Christmas list to Santa this year?
I was told not to say world peace, so I won't say that. But from a guild perspective, I'd love to see some kind of a workaround to the COVID stuff that enables me to safely get out and about and see members face to face. And I have missed that. And it was one of the things that I was really looking forward to as a function of being national chair. But it sounds like there's some optimism on the horizon there, and there's a potential possibility to resume back to normality in the not that distant future. And then from a personal point of view, those of you who know I'm a car bull, and I quite fancy a Porsche 901, which was the original 911. So for those who don't know, it was when it was launched, it was going to be called the 901, and it went to the Paris Motor Show. Peugeot kicked off because they thought they had the monopoly on car numbers that were O in the middle, so it changed to a 911. There's only a handful of them still known to exist, and the last one changed hands for a 7-figure number. So I'm suspecting I'll probably have to settle for an Air fixed model of one, and maybe a pair of socks, or some dye for my beard.
Thanks, Jason. What's on your list, Dan?
Well, before I answer mine, Jason, I know Kate's responded to you, but Jason Ward, yeah, we'll make sure we wrap this webinar up for you and send it over for your early Christmas present. So from a guild perspective, I think for me it'll be around some engagement with the 2025. I've been fortunate to be involved in pulling it together with Kyle and Norman over the past year, which will be great. But then sort of a bit closer to home, probably nothing for myself, but I need to hunt down a PS5 from somewhere for my lad. It's been a nightmare this last 6-12 weeks looking for one and scouring the internet, and I'm not going to pay a premium for it being a Yorkshireman.
And Kate sort of said she's looking forward to opportunities seeing people again. As lovely as virtual meetings are, it is just not the same. And from a personal point of view, she says, gnomes, love them. I guess from my perspective, again, it's you know, I'm looking forward to getting back to how we used to live and being able to meet up with my family and friends again, and you know, from a guild perspective, you know, my thoughts echo that in terms of I'm looking forward to being able to meet up again safely and have sort of interaction with the members. And just on Jason's Porsche thing, I remember having a ride in a 911 in about 1978. So I don't know what model that was, but it certainly blew my socks off, and it was on the Cliff Road, if you know it, at Brighton. So we went flying along there. What's on your list, Nick?
I've noticed how rubbish my broadband is over the last few months. So this might be heresy for a utilities sort of based organization. I'm thinking of buying a Wi-Fi or a wireless router. So ditching the cable connection and going purely 5G with a bit of kit from China. So
right,
that's my one purchase.
Mm. So our next question is what's in the pipeline for next year? And
Well, I was going to ask you that.
Maybe I should start that one and just, you know, reiterate that, you know, in the early part of the year, we will be continuing with our virtual events programs. The highlight is going to be the Guild Conference, which takes place on the 2nd of February, sorry. We have keynote speakers, Liv Garfield, the CEO of Severn Trent Water, and John Thompson, who's an executive director of Wessex Water. We've also engaged Nancy, I've lost the surname now, from SGN, who is going to provide, she's their hydrogen expert, and she's going to provide us with an overview of net zero. So I'm really looking forward to that. And of course, that event is also going to feature our national PDN presentation. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the sponsors of that event. I mean, your support's really important as we look to support our developing professionals, and that event is really focused towards them. Then on the 24th of February, we've got the Southeast Branch Lions Lair Showcase. If you dare to show your innovations to a panel of industry leaders, and that's the place to do it. It's jointly hosted with iGEM, and we've engaged John Murray, who's the CEO of SGN, to give the keynote presentation. So again, a really good event to look forward to. And then just planning a little bit further forward, and a return to maybe face-to-face events. The utilities planning are looking at the next phase of the Guild Goes Green initiative, and they're planning a conference which is going to be held at TWI in Cambridge in June, again focused really towards the net zero. We're also starting in January the delivery of the Guild 2025, and you'll see in both In the Pipe magazine, which will be coming out later this week, and on all our social media, that we are looking for members to get involved with this initiative, and you don't have to put lots of effort in. If there's a small area of it that you are particularly interested in or have a passion in, and please get involved. You know, we want our members to help us to shape the future of the Guild. As I said earlier, the roadmap has been published, or will be published very shortly, and So it'll give you an opportunity to review the areas and perhaps think about providing some input into it. And again, before I just conclude, I would like to thank the volunteers who've spent a lot of time putting that roadmap together. We really appreciate that you giving your time to what is a really important document and an important strategy for the future of the guild. So thank you all for taking the time to participate. I'll perhaps now just pass it over to Jason to see if he's any comments about the future.
No, I think you've covered everything there, Norman. I don't know. I mean, we're getting on for time now. Have we had any other questions to pick up?
Just while people are thinking of those questions, there's just one thing that I would ask you all to do is just to turn your cameras on. So if you could all just turn your cameras on, it'd be appreciated, because when you see yourself, you know, you are the guild. You know, every single one of you on this call, in this meeting today, are an important aspect of what the guild's about. And therefore, you know, a huge thank you for the last year of your involvement and engagement in supporting deliver what has been a difficult year. I'm sure Kate and Catherine might be taking a screenshot at some point, and therefore we'll be looking for a thumbs up from you all for permission to post this out onto social media. So all put your thumbs up.
Okay, I'm not sure if we have any more questions. Sorry?
The actual Father Christmas was here. Where's he gone? Oh, it's Tony.
So in that,
he doesn't hang around for long, Kate. He's a busy man.
Yeah,
Getting all my presents ready.
if that's the case, if we have no more questions, then are we okay to wrap up? Because I just wanted to wish each and every one of your members happy Christmas. Hope that we've got a really lovely 2021 coming up. So best wishes from me. I'm sure that'll be echoed around the cameras.
Best wishes from him and best wishes from me.
Yeah, and from me, and I do look forward to some point next year when we can all meet up, because I do really miss the the interaction with the members. It's I think it's a really important part of the guild. I've been in the guild a long time, and you know, I can't emphasize enough how important that networking is, and for both your career personally and also in helping your company to promote itself and gain opportunities for business. So I conclude then by wishing you all a very happy Christmas, and I hope you all have a very prosperous new year, and let's hope we can get out and about next year. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Again, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
Talk to you all.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Thanks, Norman.
Thank you. Thank
Cheers,
you.
everyone.
Cheers,
Merry
everyone.
Christmas, everyone.
I thought you were going to go outside the screen. You're just